Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Babbling Irons video. And I don't think many of us expected that, but 3-1 against Chelsea. What a win. What a second half resolute performance with 10 men. And yeah, a really good start to our home record this season. 3-1 win against Chelsea. We do pretty good against them a lot of the time at home since we've moved to the London Stadium anyway. So it was kind of one of those where maybe we could have got something, and luckily we got all 3 points. And yeah, let's kind of break it down step by step how we actually managed to win with 10 men after what was a really quite dreadful first half. We had very little of the ball, which we expected to happen, but both in and out of possession, we were really, really poor. And it was lucky that we took the lead, so early on, because it gave us a little bit of a license in terms of, Chelsea could have run away with that in the first half if they were clinical, but that first goal kind of made them a bit edgy. And yeah, let's kind of go back to the beginning. Ward-Prowse came into the starting 11. I think it was harsh to drop Fornals. I think he was very, very good against Bournemouth, and to take him out straight away, I wasn't happy with it. But Ward-Prowse's performance kind of showed that that's what he's been brought in to do. And Fornals, he came on to in the second half and done very well defensively. But yeah, let's start off with kind of how the match first started out. I thought we were excellent. I thought we were pressing very nicely. And Bowen won the ball high up on the right hand side. And then, yeah, we had a corner just before that, which Ward-Prowse absolutely delivered to a T. And Zuma just couldn't connect with the header enough. And then that was kind of the early warning sign that okay, he's a serious guy when it comes to set pieces, and that's ultimately one of his biggest strengths and why he was brought in by David Moyes. So the second time around, it was an absolutely beautiful corner, and Aged was there, back post. Really poor marking from Gallagher. Aged showing his what most people kind of say is a weakness of his in the Premier League and his strength. Just nudges Gallagher off, gets that extra yard of space, and then yeah, a lovely header. Robert Sanchez kind of rooted, and yeah, we took a really early lead. I think that was about the 7th minute, maybe even earlier. And yeah, that was a really positive start. You could kind of see everyone was just laughing because it was a set piece, rolling back the years under the Moyes set piece FC. But, it was effective, and it showed why it can be effective when Ward-Prowse puts in such a brilliant delivery like that. You're going to be in the money if you're a centre back or an attacker going up for those headers in the box. So yeah, I think that was a really good start. And yeah, we were playing well, but once again, as soon as we kind of score in a match, especially against a bigger team, we just sit back too much and we allow them too much time on the ball. We saw it in the fixture last season. Enzo Fernandez was picking up the ball and was allowed way, way too much space to kind of find the passes that he needed to between the lines. I didn't think we marked very well in the midfield. And, Sterling, who had an absolute blinder, by the way, was just running at ease with the ball. And Chukwuemeka on the other side, I think it was, who ultimately got the equaliser, was causing us danger, but causing us damage. But yeah, it was kind of, the warning signs were there. I thought Jackson looked very sharp for Chelsea up front, and he was alive. He was alive to what was going on, and he almost got through with that offside that he almost got a penalty for. But yeah, it was offside. But yeah, I think overall we were very hesitant, very lackluster, which is always the way with West Ham at the moment. First half we are very poor, and second half we come out like a different team, and we play like a different team. I think it just takes us a little bit of time to adjust and not show teams as much as respect as we should, because we have some absolute quality in our squad. I think that's the most frustrating thing is that we don't utilize it enough, and players like Paqueta aren't shown enough and aren't allowed to flourish because of the way we give respect, especially to the big teams. But yeah, it was kind of inevitable what was going to happen. They were prodding, they were getting very close, they were just beating our fullbacks with ease and getting into the, past the byline and into the box. And their equalizer came 27th minute, something like that. Chukwuemeka picked up the ball on the left hand side after recovering it after another poor clearance from us, which again was a story of the first half, just not being able to retain possession when we were clearing our lines back there. But yeah, it fell to Chukwuemeka. Sold Souček with a really nice shift onto his right foot, and it was an excellent finish. It really was, but it could have been prevented, and that's the most frustrating thing. When you're showing teams so much respect and giving them so much space and time on the ball, players like that are going to find pockets and find shooting opportunities, and that's what happened. But after that, I thought we were pretty lucky not to go behind. And again, it wasn't the response that was required or needed at that point. When you go 1-1, it's very difficult to come back into it, especially against a team like Chelsea, who are very, possession oriented, and will kind of pin you back with the way they play in their back three. But yeah, Chilwell was just overlapping and, not having to really defend. And, Bowen was very much pinned back and pretty much ineffective into what he can do. And the same goes for Benrahma. He was very poor in the first half when he was getting the ball, giving it away. And, defensively, he wasn't great. And Emerson as well had a much better second half. But defensively, it just takes us a bit of time to adjust to matches, and especially against the big teams. That's why it's so frustrating. I know you have to be very cautious, and we got the win. I'm talking like we didn't win, but the first half and second half was just so different that it's hard to kind of put into words why it happens. And we got very lucky to not go in 2-1 down at half time after the penalty. Yeah, once again, players just given too much time to drive into our box. I think it was Sterling again who drove between three players, and Souček just with a lazy tackle and allowed him through, and tried to try and take him down, and didn't win the ball. And it was a rightful penalty. And I think most people were kind of conceding the fact that Areola has never saved a penalty, and probably would have been the likely outcome again. But to his credit, he held strong. Enzo was doing a little bit of a weird run up, and he produced a very, very good save. And Areola was magnificent. He made some really, really good saves, especially in the second half. And I think that gave him the confidence. When you have that mental block of not ever saving a penalty, I think the statistic was, when you finally get it, it just changed him as a player. I mean, you see him in the second half bringing the ball down with his foot from a high ball over the top, and everyone's kind of like, "Oh, well, what are you doing?" But that's the confidence he has, and that's the type of goalkeeper he can be, which is why I'm happy to see him as the number one. And yeah, we went into that second half. I think we needed to be a bit better. Antonio was playing up against three centre backs, and it's such a difficult one for Antonio because it's easy to get frustrated with his lack of involvement and what kind of looks as lack of trying. But when you're up against three centre backs so isolated like that, it is a horrible job to do. And he does it very well, to his credit. Not like he used to, not like the peak Antonio we had a few years ago, but in the second half, he was much, much better, and he was bullying their defense a lot more. He was keeping the ball. He was linking play, which is exactly what we need from Antonio and exactly what he can do, and why he's so important to this system under David Moyes. So yeah, it was a much better second half reaction. And yeah, we got the kind of earlyish goal in the 52nd or 53rd minute. Again, we started to break up play in the middle. I think we lost it with some cheap possession between Benrahma and Paqueta, and then they actually turned over possession really easily, but we were alive to it. And it was Ward-Prowse once again picking up the ball in midfield, who was very good on the ball, other than the first half where he just stopped playing and allowed a Chelsea player to tackle him. But yeah, he picked up the ball and played a lovely left-footed pass over the top to Antonio, who was very smart in that situation. It could have been very easy to fumble in that situation, but he was very, very good at carrying the ball between those lines, and shrugged off Colwill, and then went to the outside of the last centre back. And I think most people thought he'd gone too wide at that point, just because when it comes to Antonio, finishing those kind of chances isn't very reliable. But to be his, to his credit, should I say, he did excellently well, shifted it onto his right foot and absolutely blasted it into the bottom corner. Some people were saying Sanchez maybe should have saved it, but I'm not sure. There was a lot of power behind it, and it was kind of traveling into the corner. Went between the defender's legs as well, which is always a good move to do as a striker. And yeah, we managed to get the lead back again, 7 minutes into the second half after scoring 7 minutes into the first half. And at that point, I just wanted us to be a bit more proactive. I wanted us to step up onto Chelsea a little bit, give them a little bit less time on the ball in the midfield, and frustrate them as well. Because second half, we frustrated them so much, and it was really, really good to see that we were working much better off the ball. And as a result of that, we were thriving on the ball when we got it, because we were finding more spaces, because of inevitably Chelsea were committing more bodies forward. But our defensive line was great. Aged was going into tackles even though he was on a yellow card, and winning the ball, sliding in, doing really, really well. And Emerson as well stepped up in the second half, even though Sterling was just on fire. Emerson dealt with him pretty well in the second half, in comparison to the first as well. But yeah, again, got that confidence. He was winning a few of those sliding tackles, and then what happened was the red card. I think everyone in the stadium saw it coming as soon as he was stretching and lunging into that tackle. It was a stupid tackle. It's something again needs to work on because when he times them, they are excellent and he's very good at it. But there's a time and a place for it. When you're in the middle of the park like that, you don't need to go lunging in, and he'll learn from that hopefully, and take that forwards. But yeah, he's going to miss the next game, and it meant that we only had what 10 men for about 20, 23 minutes left of the original time, and obviously the added time. So we had about half an hour in total of 10 men against a Chelsea team that were bringing on subs, were pinning us back. And, second a game of the season, a hot day, it seemed inevitable that they were going to score, but actually it was the complete opposite. We allowed them possession of the ball, but in areas where it was not that dangerous, and when we did get into those dangerous areas of the pitch, we were very good at smothering them, forcing them wide, forcing them to do things they didn't want to do, not in allowing the intricate passes we saw in the first half. And Souček deserves a lot of credit for his second half performance. First half, I thought he was very poor, as was most of the midfield and a lot of our players in the first half. But second half, he was going into tackles. He was really just holding down the position, and I think the 10 men forced that out of him, which I would like to see more of. I don't want to see a roaming Souček anymore if he's going to play six, because it just leaves us too open. And if we've got Ward-Prowse sitting in there, he's not got the pace to recover on transitions. Neither does Souček, but he's more likely to win a tackle. And yeah, when we were playing that low block with 10 men, I thought Souček was outstanding yesterday in that second half. The second half of the second half, should I say. And, we were defending so resolute. Paqueta found his second wind. He looked, out on his feet, but he was, being really, really proactive with his defending and, going into challenges, and helped Emerson out on that left-hand side when Benrahma came off because we needed it. And yeah, I thought Alvarez came on as well and done a really solid job defensively. Ogbonna, another one that didn't have to really do much. Chelsea, for all their possession in the second half, they didn't really do much with the ball, which was surprising, but it was also a credit to our defensive work and our defensive contributions because we limited the space that they were, finding the pockets in, and they struggled. We were forcing them wide. They were kind of hitting hopeful balls into the box, and we were thriving. That's what David Moyes' teams have always thrived on is when we're forcing, the opposition to play like that, and then we're being better in possession, which we were, especially with 10 men in the second half. I thought we were much better on the ball. So yeah, we were soaking it up, and yeah, Areola in the 90th minute made an absolute world class save, and I mean world class. Watch it back. It takes the deflection off Souček again, and his reaction time on that save was unbelievable. And that was such an important save, and he made a few of them in the match. Obviously, the penalty would being a big one, but he was absolutely brilliant, and that save saved us, should I say, all of those 3 points, because after that, we then went up the other end. We picked the ball off of them. Emerson won it really well. And I think most of West Ham fans were just saying, go to the corner. You don't need to sprint up there. But Emerson and Paqueta smelt blood, played a nice little 1-2. Paqueta's back heel was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, Emerson got the touch ahead of Caicedo, who came on and was quite frankly dreadful, which was quite funny to see. But yeah, Emerson done really well, won the penalty, and Paqueta stepped up, super confident, super focused, and didn't even need to look at the ball really. Did his little shimmy as he normally does in Brazilian style, and slotted it home, sending Sanchez the wrong way. And the stadium just erupted at that point. It was clarification of the 3 points that we'd worked so hard for, especially that last half an hour with 10 men. So it was a massive performance. Has to be the blueprint moving forwards. That's the key thing for me. We have to be a lot more proactive from the start of matches. And, we go to Brighton next week, where notoriously we do not perform well. We're still yet to beat Brighton in the Premier League. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one. But, we're just going to have to be a lot more proactive in our defending, and, don't sit off as much and don't show them as much respect, because Brighton will play similar. They'll keep the possession well. But, when it gets into that final third, we need to be more intense with our pressing, or intense with our defensive contributions, and, really show the players what can happen when you do that, because the second half was the prime example of that because we were opening Chelsea up a lot more, even with 10 men. So, yeah, really, really happy with the 3 points, as I'm sure most West Ham fans are. But it was just a really important performance and resolute performance because it showed to me that that is a team that cares. And, with Alvarez, Ward Prowse, potentially Mavropanos coming in, we'll do a video on him soon if he does sign. We're building slowly, surely, building up our squad again this transfer window, and hopefully a couple more exciting signings before the transfer window ends. But yeah, for me, man of the match, Areola, without a shadow of a doubt. He was unbelievable. The penalty save, the save at the end, his contributions, and yeah, he was just outstanding and very much deserved the man of the match. So 3 points, 3-1 against Chelsea, up to 4 points, unbeaten for the season as we go to Brighton next week, which is going to be a test. But, what a 3 points that was yesterday. And yeah, hopefully we can learn from those mistakes in the first half and start to be, yeah, just more proactive, man. I keep saying the word, but more proactive in matches from the start of games because we have the quality to do it. And, it's about time we started to stamp our authority on matches and stop reacting to what other teams do all the time. So, yeah, let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Who was your man of the match? Was it Areola? Was it someone else? Did you like what you saw in the first half, second half? And yeah, what do you think the blueprint should be moving forwards? And yeah, that's going to be all for today. Leave a like on the video. As always, subscribe to the channel. We're building up, and the videos will keep coming. I can promise you that. And yeah, we'll be sure to analyze any players that are coming in or potentially going out as well. So yeah, thank you for watching, and we shall see you on the next video. One thing for me left to say, and that is, come on, you irons.